Who has the best offensive trio in the NFL? Now, we're not including quarterbacks here. We are including running backs and all pass catchers, tight ends, wide receivers, what have you. No team last season had 3 skill position players selected to the Pro Bowl, but several teams like the Chiefs had multiple selections, though Tyreek Hill no longer with Kansas City. He and Travis Kelce were selected to the Pro Bowl last season. Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase for the Bengals, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, Debo and George Kittle for the 49ers. So let's get Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris in here and ask him to rank his top 5 offensive skill position trios. We're leaving out the quarterback, something we rarely do since we so often leave your linemen out, Ryan. We're leaving out the shiny objects like the quarterbacks. Let's start with your number 5 team, a team not represented by multiple skill position players in the Pro Bowl last season. Who is it?
That's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. You gotta love a trio that has Tom Brady as its quarterback, and this all depends on Chris Godwin and his recovery from his ACL surgery this off season. Now he's 26 years old, and he's with Tom Brady, one of the best recovery experts in the NFL. So provided he can stay healthy, this group is going to be tough to beat. And using the knowledge that they have of playing and winning with Tom Brady, that's going to propel them to an all-time high in production. Also, though, Chris, is Rob Gronkowski a part of this? Or he's officially retired, but come on, he's going to be back, right? That'll open things up down the field for everyone, including the running game for Leonard Fournette, who somehow still gets better every single season.
Yeah, and he had more than twice as many touches as anybody else on that team. How has Fournette resurrected his career there in Tampa, and what do you think he has left this season?
Well, the biggest thing for me is the pressure was off of him to be great. When he was at the Jaguars, he was the guy. He was supposed to rush them into the playoffs. And now when you play with a great quarterback like Tom Brady, you have to do your job, stay within your role. And what that does is it shrinks the amount of details that you have to get great at as a player and allows for new production. That's what I think we're seeing with Leonard Fournette. I think he'll have another career year.
Okay, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trio at number 5. At number 4, it's another NFC team, the Minnesota Vikings. I think some might argue that they could be ranked even higher than this, with arguably the best wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, arguably one of the top running backs as well, and Dalvin Cook.
Well, and you're leaving out the third piece of that trio, Adam Thielen, and this is who it really depends on. These guys could ruin the NFC for the rest of the NFL if Adam Thielen can return to form. Now, he'll be 32 years old at the start of the season and is 3 years removed from his last 1,000-yard season. But if he can return to form, Justin Jefferson will continue to find production down the field, and no question that'll open things up for Dalvin Cook to have his 4th straight 1,000-yard season. Another benefit, they're not going after and catching balls from a new quarterback. They still got their guy. And so I like the Vikings here at the 4th best trio of pass catchers in the NFL.
And check out what Kevin O'Connell had to say to ESPN. Of course, he's the former Rams offensive coordinator who was their OC when they won the Super Bowl this past season. Talking about Dalvin Cook, he's catching punts too. He's lining up at receiver. He's running the football. Shoot, we may even let him throw the football. He's become this constant pro. He's leading not only that running back group, but he's a major part of our football team and leading us from out in front. We are really thankful to have Dalvin Cook on this football team. Do you want to see Dalvin Cook do more, like split out at wide receiver?
Split out at wide receiver, sure, but that's what the kids call smoke, ladies and gentlemen. You're not having Dalvin Cook return punts. That's a pipe dream. You want him to stay healthy all season long and hopefully propel you to not only an NFC North title, but hopefully an NFC title as well. You don't do that with him returning punts. You got to get somebody else on that roster, but that's good. Kevin O'Connell making people think around the league that they got to play, where's Dalvin Cook? But Dalvin Cook has been fantastic, one of the top rushers in the NFL, and it's fun that he's showing that willingness. No, with new coaches in the NFL, you have to prove that you're in it to win it. And one of the ways that veterans can do that with a new coaching staff is to say, yeah, I'll return punts just to let the coach know you're willing. Well, what that does is if you're a guy who's on that depth chart lower on the roster. You're seeing one of the stars return kicks. Well, hey, coach, I need to return it too. It creates excitement and urgency around the rest of the roster. Coaches like that, but don't look for him to have any return yards this year from punt returns.
That trio for Minnesota accounting for 2/3 of the touchdowns over the last couple of seasons for the Vikings. New head coach Kevin O'Connell, they hope to challenge the Packers in the NFC North. The Packers team that is not on your list. Spoiler alert. Let's move on to your number 3 trio of skill position players in the NFL, and it's the team that stunned everybody and won the AFC last year.
That's right. The Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. It seems just a day ago that Jamar Chase had confidence and catching issues, but now that's 1,455 yards behind him. He'll have an entire offseason to work with a healthy Joe Burrow. Plus, T. Higgins said his shoulder is healed after shoulder surgery. He believes he'll be ready for training camp. But with Jamar Chase and others around him, Joe Mixon will continue to be that battering ram that keeps defenses honest. I really like this trio and where it can go, especially in the AFC North.
We were worried about a sophomore slump for a Justin Herbert, for instance, last year. And I think some might be holding their breath if you're a Bengals fan about Jamar Chase after the incredible season he had. Do you have any concerns for that?
No, and for 2 reasons. One, the speed at which Jamar Chase moves. He's faster than many other players in the NFL. He had over 200 yards against the Chiefs in their first game last year. He is dynamic. That was one of the best defenses at times in the NFL last year that he went against. And he is great at running routes. A lot of young receivers, they taper off routes at the top or at the bottom. They don't get off of press coverage. But Jamar Chase really worked on the little things and details that make receivers great. So between his details and his speed, he will continue to have success with Joe Burrow as his quarterback.
Bengals at number 3. Again, we are not including quarterbacks in this ranking for Ryan Harris. At number 2, we're going to L.A., but not the defending champs. You're going with the L.A. Chargers with the second best trio in the league.
Yeah, this Chargers trio will decide who wins the AFC West. You got Mike Williams, you got Keenan Allen, and Austin Eckler. You know, players love security. All of us like security at our job. Mike Williams secured the bag, 3 years, $60 million this offseason. But this will depend on whether or not Austin Eckler can stay healthy. I was really surprised the Chargers did not go for a backup running back, kind of like a 1A for Austin Eckler. Austin's proven to be one of the top guys, not only in the NFL and as a running back, but also on fantasy football podcasts as he has his own. But Austin Eckler's health could propel this trio to an AFC West title, and whoever comes out of the AFC West with that title is going to be extremely confident going into the playoffs.
Ryan, is health for a running back like Eckler, is it more about luck or more about trying to limit his touches?
Well, my 10-year NFL career, I had 9 different surgeries. Injuries happen. You often get them trying to avoid them, but you do want someone to spell Austin Eckler because now, as the Chargers know or hope to know, you know, they want to be playing in January, and you need Austin Eckler more in January than you do in September. Hopefully, their coach, Brandon Allen, also learns how to kick a field goal. You can do that in the NFL, and if so, this Chargers trio will be high-producing on its way to the playoffs.
Yeah, all those fourth down conversion attempts, those add up over the course of the year. More touches, more wear and tear. So the Chargers, number 2. It's that other L.A. team, number 1 on your list. You talked about having a running back healthy for the stretch run. One of these guys on the Rams, Cam Akers, he came late but came up big.
He certainly did. So Cam Akers, of course, Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp, and then Allen Robinson. I mean, the great Ric Flair said to be the man, you got to beat the man. And for that reason, the Rams are the number 1 skilled trio in the NFL. But this will depend on Allen Robinson. Who will he be? Now, will he be the receiver that 2 years ago and 3 years ago had 1,000 yards receiving, or will he be inconsistent and unhealthy? So depending on him, you will be able to see what the Los Angeles Rams will be able to accomplish. They've also got questions about Aaron Donald on the defensive side. But if Allen Robinson can get to 1,000 yards, there is going to be production for everyone, especially Cooper Kupp, who proved that wide receivers can win you a championship, not just a game. This is going to be fun to watch either way. And I cannot wait for the beginning of the season for the Rams.
And for Allen Robinson, I mean, all those years where he just hasn't had a top-level quarterback like a Matthew Stafford and hasn't had that wide receiver opposite him like he will with Cooper Kupp, what might that do for him?
Well, that's going to open up a lot more routes for him to get the football. Also, working with Matthew Stafford, when you play with great quarterbacks, Super Bowl championship quarterbacks, they'll tell you things that are separate and different from what you may see on the playbook. Hey, Chris, yes, when you hit that seam route, we want that, but I want you to look outside instead of in, because on this play, I know how it develops. And if I'm going to come to you, look for the ball on the outside of that hash. Those little details make for huge productions for receivers like Allen Robinson, who are going to be learning really how to be a pro in addition to being a Ram.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.